Hello there and welcome to the Hashpower Academy. Today I have an interesting video for you to look at the 5 logarithmic steps, these objective milestones, 10xing each time to reach one whole Bitcoin. That is starting with acquiring 1/10,000th of a Bitcoin, then 1,000th of a Bitcoin, then a 100th of a Bitcoin, 1/10th, and then one whole Bitcoin. Now you've got to understand there's two things to consider here. That each step is going to take more time. And this is because, well, as you're going through these milestones, Bitcoin is gaining value. It's a currency in fixed supply with energy and compute and dollars all expanding underneath it. So when you have a currency with absolute scarcity, you're essentially defining a milestone at the top of a mountain that is continually getting steeper as you walk up. And so what you have to measure, and this video I hope is relevant whether you watch this today as I post it, or in 10 years, or in 100 years, or even 1,000 years, that your relativity of yourself as an individual today and what you can earn with your time and energy or your other assets, well, they're all going to have a quantifiable amount of money. But that is going to diminish over time because Bitcoin is a deflationary energy currency. And so it respects and preserves its time and energy and appreciates over time, but, well, your particular moment in time, it's going to have a particular value, an exchange rate. And so you are objectively participating in the unit bias game of going, I want one whole Bitcoin, but that is going to just get harder, or in dollars, more expensive over time. And so I'm just going to take you through some progressional steps as to how you can get to one whole Bitcoin if that's your goal, or somewhere along the way decide that you're happy with the amount that you have. And the other piece of this to think about is you have to look through the money, because you have to think of it like this: your income, your time and energy into a quantity of dollars or pounds or euros or whatever it is. That's not the first. That's just the first step. The second step is, well, when you go to spend it, it seems to buy you less over time. And so money is that medium of exchange, your time and energy stored in something, and it just seems to disappear by the time you reach the point of buying goods and services. And so when you think about the quantity of Bitcoin that you want, think about the experiences and time and energy that you want to spend in life, and that money affording you that ability to do so. Because time is essentially the scarcest currency that we do have, not the Bitcoin. But nevertheless, let's go through these stages. So different people in the world, we all have different ability to access and generate income. So sensibly, $8 might be a really important milestone to one person, but a one-off purchase to another. Or a person living in New York City may spend $800 very quickly, but to someone else in the world, that's an entire year's worth of income, or even less. And what this means is that these goals are going to be specific to each individual person and their ability to locally access well, energy resources in monetary form. So the first goal is layer 2. And the reason why I say layer 2 is you need to be considering the fact that $8 or $80 worth of Bitcoin is very, very small. And this could be essentially a fee. That's the cost of a fee. So you want to be using something like the Lightning Network and being paid on the Lightning Network just to begin with. There is a discussion within that is, can we actually be self-sovereign with layer 1 block space getting more and more expensive? Well, there's the aspects of these layer 2s having quite an extensive amount of decentralization, but it's an ongoing debate, shall we say. And the first things here to achieve these two steps is to learn about opening a wallet, a Lightning wallet, for example, and learning. That's the key one. So we're going to just write learn and acquire. So you're going to have to generate a wallet, secure the 12 words or the 24 words or the private key, whichever component that is provided, and secure that small amount of Bitcoin, or jump straight to the $80 or $800 Bitcoin part. And the layer 2 part is most important because it's going to be that layer that's more for micropayments and small amounts of Bitcoin. And so you really want to be focusing on fee optimization with this as well. And this second amount of $80, jumping to 1,000th of a Bitcoin, you could potentially use your skills, your knowledge, and provide it online. If you have access to the internet, you have the ability to earn money. But you've got to find it. You've got to have that curiosity to go out and solve someone's problem, be productive in society, and see what someone will pay you. Oh, can I pay you in, can you pay me in Bitcoin? Da, 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 da. Do the work and settle that internet trade with internet money, so to speak. Now, this is the next one, $800 or 0.01 Bitcoin as of now. This one's more about saving in Bitcoin. And what I mean by saving is over time, 800 Bitcoin, $800 worth of Bitcoin or 0.01, that's going to be something that you accumulate over time. So it's saving in Bitcoin. You have your income, you have your expenses. I hope they're less than your income. And that chunk that's you're left over with, that's your savings. What percentage of that you choose to save in Bitcoin should be matching your confidence level. If you're 100% about Bitcoin, you could use 100%, not financial advice, it's up to you. If you're 50% confidence about Bitcoin, maybe use 50% of your savings. It's always dealing with your expenses, lowering your expenses, increasing your income, and widening that margin. But the key thing here as well is you've got to measure the amount of blocks between these steps. How long in time does it take? Because remember, when you measure your achievements through these milestones in time, you make it individual to you. Because yes, Michael Saylor's buying the next 1,000 Bitcoin, 10,000 Bitcoin, whatever crazy amount others are doing, you're not them. We're all two individuals, so it's all about your individual experience and accumulation for yourself. Because the whole thing about Bitcoin is it respects and preserves the time and energy that you put into acquiring it, accumulating it. Because this fixed supply of 21 million has more energy and compute expanding underneath it. So while dollars in quantity form buy you less over time, Bitcoin affords you more over time. So time is always that key component here. It's volatility and it's volatile in space, but value preservation in time. So what's the amount of time, and we can measure it in blocks, between your jumps between these milestones? And so that next milestone, you're getting from 0.01 Bitcoin to 0.1, 100th to 1/10th. These are really great steps, and you should be really proud if you get through these stages. So this one, how long did it take you? And remember, these steps presumably are going to take longer and longer. So if you get to later on in your life and you understand, okay, this point in the future where 0.1 Bitcoin buys you a house, this amount of time, this might be 10 years, 20 years. And if you're later in your life, you go, okay, that's not a reasonable goal. So having that time measurement in blocks allows you to just understand where it's time to not retire, but spend what you have and provide it to your generational, your bloodline. Saving, yes. Now, the interesting thing about this moment, this current sort of value of say $8,000 worth of Bitcoin, this is when you should start looking at the layer one. Let's write it in red. Layer one is 800 to $8,000 worth of Bitcoin. These sorts of quantities you should be considering. Oh, this one as well. Layer one. That's where you can justify spending a bit of it to store it in a layer one wallet. And the whole process here is I also recommend, hardware wallet. And you've got substantial enough amount of Bitcoin you should probably be running a node at this point. But the most important piece here, that final jump, that final milestone between 0.1 and 1 whole Bitcoin. But if you are just working and saving through life to make this jump, still we don't know how long this is going to take, and there's going to be a slippage. What if by the time that you get to 0.1 and you've got $80,000, you've now got 80,000, and now a Bitcoin is worth $800,000. As to how long it takes to acquire 1 whole Bitcoin, measure it in time. And the 800,000 goal, again, it's not about the quantity that you have. It's about what you want to do with it, your individual dreams, experiences, goals, targets, business that you want to build. Maybe you want to build a mining farm. I don't know, an off-grid community, a citadel. There's all these sorts of directions. But if you can get yourself to 1 whole Bitcoin, you're going to know wealth, and I say wealth as in the ability to afford yourself time in life so that you can explore all the passions and creativity and all of the different things that you want to do in life. For example, I love to travel. I just want to see the world, see all different countries, cultures, experiences, food, you name it. And it's going to cost a lot of money, so I better start educating lots more people. And another piece here about this, the management of that money. We've gone from layer 2 because it's a small amount of Bitcoin, so you don't want to be paying a high fee, to okay, I've now started accumulating a quantity that justifies securing it, say in a hardware wallet, or just store it in a, store the private key or the words in a piece of metal, and whatever your magical security system is. Once you start owning a significant quantity of Bitcoin, maybe distribute it into several different wallets, and it's not putting all your eggs in one basket, but actually putting your eggs in the same basket but in different places, so to speak. And maybe some multi-sig, let's write that in, which is instead of one private key being able to move the Bitcoin, because that's the power of your private key, is the ability to move the Bitcoin. If anyone has that access to your key, they can move your Bitcoin. The power of the private key is the information of it, its ability to move the Bitcoin. So multi-signature setups is essentially having 2 out of 3 or 4 or 5, however many different private keys that are required to all agree to move that same Bitcoin. And that just provides you security, whether you have particular locations or some other setup, or using custodians and banks of Bitcoin banks in the future. It's all down to your wants and needs and desires and risk tolerance and trust. If you do choose to trust other people with securing your money, that's your choice. People are all going to be different. And the key thing here is measure these milestones in time, not in a quantity of dollars. Even the quantity of Bitcoin itself is not an objective goal. It's how much time these take for you to make these jumps. Let's write this in multi-signature, multiple different requirements to access the same money. This isn't really a particularly niche educational video. It's more just an abstract progressional video as to how you can preserve your time and energy in a quantity of money and allow you to live the best life that you want to live. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.